Good evening everybody and welcome to the vlog for Thursday, August 3rd, 2017. I hope you're all doing well. As you can see, I got a new background. After I cleared the Blazer out of the garage, it gave me some room to pull this in. So I had to do a little bit of reorganizing the garage today, but once we got that all squared away, we were all set. And now it's nice that my truck will be garage kept. And so today was spent mostly trying to do something, which I'll be talking about in a little bit. And then after that, I just did a bunch of cleaning and organizing around the house. Basically just got all my ducks in a row, so next week I'll be able to focus on game development a lot more. So this week I think I kind of just needed a little bit of a break from it all, you know, especially after the 48-hour game jam that I did this past weekend. It kind of burnt me out on development and got me behind in my chores and stuff like that. So it was really nice to use this week to kind of regroup a little bit, because next week I'm certainly going to be ramping up my game development, and I'm very excited about that because my plan is to have my next build ready by next weekend. And I think one of the cool things that I got out of the Ludum Dare game jam is it really showed me how much I can get done in a day. I mean, there were quite a bit of things that I set up and implemented over that 48-hour period. And if I really focus and apply myself, I think I can really get a lot done in a day. And so next week and maybe a little bit of the weekend should be plenty of time for me to finish off my next build of the game. And I'm hoping that this one's going to be a lot more interesting than the last one. Anyhow, I'm going to get to the main topic of today's vlog, and it's going to be in the form of a short little story. So it starts with a question. How difficult is it to buy a Nintendo Switch 5 months after the release of the console? So the Nintendo Switch was released on March 3rd of this year, which was exactly 5 months ago today. And I was kind of wondering to see how difficult it would be to get a Nintendo Switch today. As a designer, it's very important for me to stay up to date with the latest trends in the gaming industry, and the Nintendo Switch is kind of lighting the world on fire right now. It's a very unique console, and I'm thinking that my game could definitely work really well on the Nintendo Switch. I mean, no promises, but I definitely think that it's important for me to have a retail version of this system to kind of get a better idea of what it's all about. So naturally I started looking online for one of these consoles, and Amazon has them available, but they're like $80 over MSRP, and then eBay's got them as well, and then GameStop has some bundles that seem alright, and they won't ship till later this month. But ultimately I'm just looking to buy the console right now and then purchase the games that I want digitally. And so basically online, all articles said that the way you get your hands on one of these is you just need to kind of stalk your local stores and find out who's got them and when they might be getting new shipments. And so there are a total of 6 retailers that offer the Nintendo Switch. The first is Amazon, but like I said, they were selling it for like 80 bucks more than the MSRP, so that one's kind of out of the question for now. And then the 5 others are Walmart, Best Buy, Target, GameStop, and Toys R Us. And for me, living in the Bay Area, there's no shortages of these stores around me. So I was thinking that my chances might be pretty high, especially 5 months after the console's release. So I started planning last night. I looked at when the stores opened, got their phone numbers and everything. And then as soon as they started opening, I just started calling. So I started with my local Target. They checked for a minute and they didn't have any. So then I called the closest Walmart to me, which is a little further, but not too bad. And the lady who I talked to was actually super cool. She was like, you know, I don't have any on the floor right now, but if you call back in about 20 minutes, we had a worker just go to the back and they're grabbing a new shipment. So maybe, I'm not giving any promises, but maybe there's one. And I guess last time that this had happened, they had 4 consoles. So that Walmart is about 20 minutes away from my house. So I figured I'd hop in the truck and just drive over there. And if they have them, they'll be out and I can get one and it'll be all good. Anyways, I showed up there and I talked to the lady who I think was the lady who I talked on the phone with. And she said that the shipment that worker went to pick up didn't have any Nintendo Switches on it. So that's too bad. But I did talk to another worker and she basically told me that on the website there's an item availability checker. And as long as you don't set a primary store on the website, you'll be able to check the inventory for all the Walmarts in the area. And she said the list updates at midnight, and you can kind of use that as a tool to see which Walmarts will be getting different shipments. And then before I left, she was kind of under her breath was like, well, maybe you should give this one other store down the street a call. And she had some reasoning that I wasn't really sure what it was. But anyways, I walked out of that Walmart and gave the other one a call, and unfortunately they didn't have any Switches in stock. So I drove back home and waited until some of the other stores started opening up. So 10 a.m. rolls around and GameStop and Best Buy open up now. So I called my local GameStop and they said that they don't have any Switches in stock, but they have a bunch of bundles that will be shipping later on in the month. So basically the same thing as what's happening online. And again, I wasn't too jazzed about the bundles, but that's how it is, I guess. But the way he said it kind of made me feel like that's how most of the other GameStops were going to be as well. So I kind of gave up on GameStop temporarily. Now here's where things get interesting. So I called my local Best Buy, and the guy checked the system and saw that they didn't have any in stock, but that there was another store probably like 35 minutes away from my house that did have one in stock. So anyways, I was like, oh sweet, okay cool, let's make this happen. So anyways, I start calling that Best Buy to confirm that they have a Switch in stock and to see if they could reserve it for me. So anyways, I'm trying to call in and I get put on hold and they're taking a while to pick up, so I decide that I'm just gonna start driving in that direction. And worst case scenario, they say that we don't have any, but then I end up in another shopping center that may have some in stock. So anyways, I get in the truck and probably like 10 or 15 minutes later, I finally get off hold. And mind you, I'm kind of booking it down the freeway because I still have a pretty long distance to go, and luckily it was after the morning commute had already died down, so that was all good. But yeah, finally the guy picks up the phone and says that they don't have any in stock. And I was kind of like, oh well, the other guy said that you guys might have one in stock, and so the guy on the phone thought that there might be some glitch in the system or something like that because they didn't have any. So anyways, I start driving to the next Best Buy, which isn't that far away from where I was, so it kind of worked out nicely. So anyways, I walked up to a guy who looked like he was a manager or something and asked him if they had any in stock. And then I think one of the other workers kind of overheard me asking this and was like, oh, I think we sold the last 2 out last night. And I'm like, great, I missed it by a day, of course. He's like, you know, I don't think we have any on the floor, but let me radio into the back to see if we got any back there. So they take a look, didn't find any, and I guess they looked in some other place. I don't know if she was checking some other stores, but ultimately they didn't have one for me or know where one was. And so I start chatting with that manager a little bit to see maybe what kinds of days the shipments come in on. And he's basically like, yeah, you should be able to get one pretty easily because the console's been on the market for long enough that they'll stay on the shelves for a little bit longer than they used to. But typically we get our shipments Saturday night, like every other week. So then they'll go out on the floor the following day. And so he basically said that they got their last shipment probably about 2 weeks ago. So this Sunday is looking like that they very likely will get a new shipment. So I was super stoked off that. Shout out to the guy that I talked to. I appreciate the advice. Anyways, I was kind of starting to realize at this point that I might not be getting a Switch today, but there's hope for getting one in just a few days. So I walk out to the parking lot and the guy parked next to me had a convertible Mercedes with a flat screen TV sitting in the back of it. And then he asked me for help to help him pick it out of the back of his convertible and put it over onto a shopping cart. It looked like he was going to return it. Anyways, he was just some random dude with a Swedish accent, so it was pretty funny. And then, so yeah, I was pretty certain that I wasn't getting the Switch today, but I just gave it one last ditch effort and just called as many places as I could. I'm like, you know what? I'm in this, I'm already driving around the bay. If there's a time to do it, it's now. Why not? So anyways, I called like half a dozen Targets and none of them had any in stock. And then I even called a few more GameStops just to see if they had any physical copies. And they were pretty much just trying to sell me on that bundle again. It was pretty funny, whenever I called the GameStops, they all read off this like same script that told me something about trading in pre-owned games or something like that. I didn't even really pay attention, to be honest. But wait! You remember there's still one more retailer, one last Hail Mary to get me the Nintendo Switch. And that is Toys R Us. Which I'd be lying if I said it wasn't one of my favorite stores when I was a kid. So anyways, I called them up, asked if they had the Switch in stock, and the lady for the first store was just like, no, we don't have any in stock. And I was in the middle of my sentence saying, okay, do you have any idea when you might expect any? And I probably got 2.5 words in and I hear, okay, thanks, bye. And then the next one I called was a little more friendlier than the first one, but I could tell the reason that most people probably call into Toys R Us these days is to check the stock of the Nintendo Switch. Because the next one I called was basically said, no, we don't have any in stock and we don't know when we're gonna get any. So I was just like, okay, fine. Looks like it's not gonna happen today. So anyways, if everything goes well, I may be the proud owner of a new Nintendo Switch in just a few days. What's going on, everybody? I just wanted to give you a little August 10th update to this video because I got my Nintendo Switch. And so I just wanted to let you know how I actually found mine and just give you a little bit of tips if you're looking for one for yourself. So the key thing to really do is you want to stock the crap out of your local retailers. Like literally just call them every single day right after they open and ask if they have them in stock. Because the worst they can say is no, we don't have them. Best case scenario, they do have one in stock and you can go get one. But from my experience, it was super common that the people on the phone seemed like they really wanted to get these out into people's hands because very often they'd check the stock for different stores. And this happened especially especially with Best Buy. So like I said, I thought I was going to get this on Sunday from Best Buy, but I actually ended up getting it on Saturday from Target. It seems like retailers were stocking these much more often over the weekends than the weekdays. That being said, I would still check in with them on the weekdays because there's probably not going to be as many people, especially earlier on in the day. So the chances of one being in stock and staying in stock for the day are pretty high. And granted, it was a lot easier to find the ones with the gray controllers as opposed to the red and blue colored controllers because those seem to be in much higher demand than the gray ones. I personally like the gray ones myself. You know, I mean, if you couldn't tell already, I think that black and gray are pretty clean looking colors. So it's pretty easy for me to find the gray one, but if you want the colored ones, you might need to do a little bit of more work. So those are my tips on how to get a Nintendo Switch in August 2017, and please be sure to comment below if this helped you find a Nintendo Switch. Also, like this video if you found it useful, and be sure to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of my content. So with that, I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and keep playing video games.